Good morning. This is the Board of County Commissioners Board Work Session. It is Wednesday, October 18th, 2023. It is 11:17 a.m. This session is set to go till noon. This is a hybrid meeting. We're at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, room 110 for public virtual attendance. You may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Mensler. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have interim county manager Robin Campbell, as well as assistant county manager Rob Gilder. And today we will be discussing the Economic Development District briefing. We have members from the Economic Development District here joining us, as well as our Economic Development Program Manager, Jenica Machado. And who am I passing this to?
Let's turn it straight over to Jenica in the interest of time.
And just in the interest of time, Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I could. I've been through this whole presentation and I sit on the Economic Development Board, and I've already given them the thumbs up on this from my perspective, and I want you folks filled in on what's going on. Could you excuse me from this to finish up on this other presentation?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is our last brief to the startup process of the Economic Development District, known as the Pacific Salish EDD. We met for briefs back in 2021, early 2023 to review and discuss the idea of an EDD, what it does, how it functions, and we were looking for Thurston County to join a defunct Economic Development District previously known as COLPAC. So we're here today with Michael Cade, Executive Director of the EDC, and Jason Robertson with Jason Robertson and Company, the selected consultant for the EDD development project. Today, they're going to walk us through the final steps in the process, which includes reviewing and later approving the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Document, or CEDS, and passing a resolution. So no decision is being requested today. I have an AIS submitted for October 31st, in which we'll request a decision on passing of the CEDS document and a resolution. So with that, I'll pass it over to Michael Cade.
I'm going to keep my comments very brief. Good afternoon. Again, Michael Cade, Executive Director of the Thurston Economic Development Council. This is a seminal moment for Thurston County's economic development community. Appreciate your time in putting this on the agenda. We have talked about this in the past, but as I think about the history of economic development in Thurston County, I'm struck by the notion that we're always looking. One of my jobs and my organization's job is to ensure that we have every resource and opportunity for creating economic development, which is jobs and opportunities for the citizens and residents of Thurston County. We have been without an economic development district since its inception in the late 60s, early 70s as a federal designation by the Economic Development Administration. So today, very excited to bring this stage to you. We as an Economic Development Council have been working on this in conversation briefly off and on since the late 2000s, and then very, very concerted and pointedly since about 2015, when we created the Center for Business Innovation and identified this is one of the resources we have been missing. So today, I'm going to turn it over to our consultant, Jason Robertson, our lead consultant, to walk us through the next steps in the process there. So thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Again, Jason Robertson, J. Robertson and Company, and I'm going to have a brief presentation, even briefer since they gave you all that. Just a reminder, what we're doing today is kind of setting up the last step in this process of having the board approve the CEDS plan itself and a resolution to create the district. We're having the Economic Development Council boards and the County Commission boards approve it, and that got done over in Mason County earlier this week, and I'll be in Grays Harbor and Pacific Tuesday, or we will be. Just a reminder for the sake of the public information that there are 380 districts across the United States recognized by the U.S. Economic Development Administration. They haven't formed a new one for quite a while, so we're kind of relearning the process to get that done. To form a district, you have to have the comprehensive economic development strategy, which we've shared with you. And it's sort of like the old CTED days, if you remember that, where you kind of elevate priority projects, and in this case, those that create or retain jobs or help generate private investment into economic development. And there's a variety of uses for the funds, construction, non-construction planning, technical assistance, and my favorite, revolving loan funds, which can help serve audiences that or enterprises that have difficulty accessing traditional loans. We're sort of towards the tail end of the process. All 4 counties allowed us to get going on this. We got a grant from EDA. We've completed the SEDS plan. Once you've adopted the resolution, we'll get any final comments from EDA. And then once that's done, it goes to the governor's office for signature. Just a reminder, Mason, Grays, Pacific, and Thurston would be the partners. So it's almost like the Pac Mountain geography minus Lewis County. So I'm not going to go through the entire plan with you since we've shared it earlier, but just a reminder of what the major categories of the plan are. This follows EDA requirements. But they're pretty lenient in terms of you can do whatever you got to do for your region, just make sure that we understand the logic of it. So far, so good on that. The plan is informed by public engagement over the last year or so, but also existing community plans. So we reviewed all kind of the economic development related plans for all 4 counties and tried to just enhance what is already known to be priorities. This is a snapshot of the vision statement. I will say we have a public comment period open right now. It ends Friday, and we've received about 20 comments, very thoughtful. Some people say add more stuff. Some people say make it shorter. So I feel like we're right where we need to be. And the plan is built, the actions fall under 4 major focus areas. Industry and entrepreneurial networks, infrastructure capacity and modernization, economic opportunity for all, and environmental stewardship and resiliency. And resiliency is kind of a newer priority for EDA, which is good for us in this region, earthquakes, tsunamis, wildfires. Being able to access emergency funds to mitigate or prevent some of those challenges will be helpful. And then under economic opportunity for all, we've really tried to find a way to kind of just build on what we've already been doing, is creating more pathways for more people to have financial stability. And so I'll pause there. You've had a chance to look at all the proposed priority actions, and then we have an appendix of all the possible projects that we might push forward for funding in the future. We tried to imagine all of the scenarios that we could. So now I guess I'll pause and take your questions.
Questions, Commissioner Mensah? And then just as a, I guess, reminder from the last briefing, you have to be invited to participate into an economic development district, correct? You don't invite yourself, basically. You're not like, I want to be a part of this one. You have to be invited by the members of that group in order to be a part of this.
Correct. So, and Colpack used to be Pacific, Mason and Grays Harbor, and that district basically was defunct for a number of years. And so Michael asked if they'd like to reinvent it with us as a partner, and we worked through that process, and they did. You can't have a single county or single jurisdiction district. You have to have a regional partnership. And just to loop back around, and the reason that Lewis County isn't part of this like it is Pac Mountain is that they're part of a district that goes all the way down to Clark County.
And if I can jump in there just a smidge, just to give you a little bit of background, there is an economic development district north of us, which is Pierce, King, Snohomish, and Kitsap. There was conversation early on as strategically, should we be part of that? We identified this region that we're talking about because it's it matches up well with the other things that we do as a region economically. Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Council, the Economic Development Councils work well together. We have a working guiding principle to work with each other. We did not have that opportunity with the 4 counties, and we just felt that the Colpack operational elements in place already, and they have a history of working together, that this would be a good fit for us because it does align well with the Pacific Mountain Workforce Development Council. there's a little bit of strategy to that.
It allows us to elevate agriculture and shellfish in particular. Like if we were to go to one of the other districts, that kind of becomes a lower import relative to other industries.
Commissioner Munster? Do you have questions? Questions? Okay.
So is this resolution kind of a next step for us to deal with?
Yes, and I understand that's something you'd be signing on the 31st of this month, and then our plan is due to EDA the next day. So. And like I said, I've been processing all the public comment real time, and so I think it's pretty ready to go. There's no major changes based on that input. There are some of the counties have, other counties have clarified their project descriptions a little bit, but there's nothing material different than what you're reading now.
So I guess I do have a question. If the Board of County Commissioners says yes and joins this group, then what are the responsibilities of the county as a member of this group?
Yeah, so varied and minimal. So we have, once we get the plan approved, we have a minute to create the operating structure. And so conceptually, we're imagining that the 4 EDC directors will constitute the board, and it's their job to get input from all their partners throughout the county. And so that means Michael, through Jenica, would be trying to find out what's the newest priority for Thurston County. For the first year, we're not requesting any funds from the county, but I will remind you that if there is a Thurston County priority you want to move forward, typically it requires a 50% match. So that at that point, if you wanted to move a project forward, you might be motivated because you have the 50% and the other 50% from the federal government helps you get to go faster.
When you say project, what, could you give a few examples?
It could be, you wanna make, you wanna put in, a sewer line to, the ag park down in Tenino.
Or like the Rochester Main Street Fair redevelopment, childcare building redevelopment, those different projects would be.
The slides have,
Project.
I don't know, you guys came up with some stuff, that examples that are in the packet
In the other counties, yeah,
in other counties as well, but yeah, it's got 101 interchange.
so,
But in sea level rise improvements, helping to fund that workforce development, housing, childcare, fairground.
And Public Works submitted some projects that we included.
God, I wonder if we could tie it into some of the activity that's happening around the brewery district right now.
I think Tumwater did include.
Yeah, we have a fairly extensive description of the various components of that overall project that you could absolutely tie into. And this is, I mean, to Michael's point, you know, we've been living, you know, we've tried to get state grants, right? And let's say they have a $3 million fund and there's, you know, 30 counties trying to go for it. It just worked for us to do a project of that magnitude. But if a federal government grant of millions of dollars can complete the last leg of something like that, then we're in so much better position than we ever were.
exactly, when you say 50% match, it doesn't necessarily have to be county money, it just needs to be cobbled together from whatever sources we
Yeah.
happen to be able to tap into.
Cobbling is the key to all this, right? So you know, the county's role might be to like reduce impact fees to get something started, right? But you're not spending cash dollars, and then there's a private developer who says, well, if you're gonna put in the sewer line, then all of a sudden I can do this project.
Right.
Excellent example is in Wenatchee, Port of Wenatchee in the Economic Development District there for the North Central Washington. Worked with, they had some property that went essentially south on the development side, and they were left with superstructures of building pads and some structures. They actually turned that through an EDA grant through the district into an incubator for small BIPOC-owned businesses, operated businesses. Fantastic. It's as incredible as that. Jason's right, is when you cobble resources together and look at projects that make it whole, this is that leverage tool. And I don't want to be, I don't know, be kicked out of the room or kind of make it sound like, so we're tired. And we've been cobbling resources after resource. This finally is that leverage fulcrum that we can use to go after larger projects and things that we've been wanting to do. We just haven't had access to it.
So rather than obligating the county to certain tasks, it provides opportunities for us to do some of the big things that we want to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and in fact, we'll have, the EDA provides a grant to pay for, a portion of the administrative costs of operating this, so the county won't, we don't have to ask Jenica for 50% of her time or anything. So we'll have somebody operating all of that, but through the board and the economic development practitioners program that's already set up, the county will always be at the table and aware of what's going on and what new grant opportunities come out.
And I think I would just add that the priority projects that we have on the list are able to be updated every year, is that correct? And so if there's a new priority that comes to the county, it can be fairly responsive in elevating it.
One of the first projects that I ran into when I came here in 2004 was, there was two sewer line in Tenino. Also, the industrial areas of Yelm and water lines and water resources. We met with the EDA to think, well, I'm come down from somewhere, we're used to this thing. So I invited the EDA down and they kind of looked at me and says, I don't know why we're here. We do not have an economic development district here in play, so we have nothing to offer you. And it was a very tragic moment in my life. I realized there's no economic development district here and I don't have any resources to bring to the table on the federal side. But I think back in 2004, when that conversation happened, had we known at that time, or had we had that resource at the time, we can be a little bit further ahead than we are today. So, pretty unique opportunity right now.
I just have one more question, and has the PAO's office read this, Jenica?
Yes.
Okay, any further questions? Okay, so we'll be seeing this as an action item on October 31st. Happy Halloween. Okay.
Good.
Thank you for coming. It's 11:34, we are adjourned.